What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. We're going to take an in-depth look at Cybernetic Horizon and why people are really freaking out about it right now. But first, kind of the flavor of the day, the buyout of the day, World Legacy Secession. It was at $7 earlier, but we see an old name here holding the line at the bottom now on TCG Player as Pause Joker Games comes in with a little coolant on all those people trying to hold the line at 7 here. Nice to see ya, old-timer. And then we see World Legacy Secession over here at $3.50 still on eBay, having trouble kind of passing that point with the lowest seller here. 3 available. We've seen this loaded over and over and over by this person, so hey, that's pretty nice. And then we see 48 sold, but not necessarily at this price point, as when you relist with a listing you've already sold, it keeps the number sold sometimes. So it's interesting to see people really going after this card, and a new card that came in that actually supports this card is our Mech Knight of Morning Star, which is just an insane deal right now at $4.38. This set is just falling off because it's during the off season, and we'll get into that in a second, but Mech Knight of Morningstar has an effect of, if this card is link summoned, you can discard a Mech Knight monster or a World Legacy card to add any World Legacy card from your deck to your hand, and this is probably one of the best targets to go ahead and get, because it continues your turn. It allows you to continue on, and you can use the blue Mech Knight in order to search multiple so that you have extra free monsters to throw away into the graveyard for the pitch effect to search out Secession, putting it then there. You can summon them to any zone you might please, not necessarily relying on your opponent, and continue upwards from there. I've been playing Sky Striker Mech Knight Invoked on stream, and so many times when I accidentally click first or get forced to go first in full matches, I've made Saryuja a lot in the deck, and that was not happening before. So having going first options is nice, and the ability to continue into plays that you otherwise wouldn't is also very nice. But Secession, one of the best cards to grab with that, along with just in general a really great extender for many decks here. You're able to link away big cards in the middle of a combo and then just bring them back. It's pretty darn nice. Now let's go ahead and talk about why everyone's freaking out and take a real in-depth look at Cybernetic Horizon. It's a set released during the off-season, and I didn't take that into consideration when thinking about the excitement of what the danger could bring in the future, where very few people are actually getting to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now because there's no regionals. To top that off, there's a huge disappointment with the set in general, where there's not a lot of competitive aspects, and it started out top heavy, but even that is collapsing. Usually I say a really good product tends to put out a card that is worth the product itself, and Boral Sword Dragon is surprisingly slipping on under that, and I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I feel like Boral Sword Dragon, during the competitive season, will see a rise in its play and perhaps price, but it might continue to drop off from here even as we move forward. And the dangers, their potential lies in the future sets, and that's always uncertain, but it's a great home run for a first set, yet we see it drop off to this point despite them being shorter printed in the set. And it's not the biggest ratio fall off, right? Like, but there's not a play set per case. So the payoff on trying to pull them from sealed product is really hard. So we're looking at a product that necessarily just doesn't give back value in terms of cash for what it's worth. Right now, it feels a lot like Code of the Duelist to me. We had Gokis, we had Trickstars, we had Firewall Dragon, and at first it was very underwhelming and prices got incredibly low. Add that to the fact that we're in the off season and it's just a perfect storm for low prices, relatively. Shoutouts to Yu-Gi-Oh! Single selling all theirs at around $2 on Seeger, but relatively low prices. We actually get past the first page and we're under $5 for the set mostly, with Chupacabra still being here. And then we actually see almost all the dollar cards throughout here. Like, can you imagine, like, this release being $3? I did not see that coming. I thought it would float at 10 and a lot of Theorio would fall around it. It's actually just insane and awesome how low these prices are. And going through eBay, it's actually very similar. We see Boral Sword here at 55. Bigfoot at 34, Nessie at 33. So TCG Player, if this speaks anything about the set, has caught up and has lower prices on many of these cards already. That's the fastest I've ever seen TCG player do it on a new set, and that means a lot of these people opened up the product seeing the initial prices, thinking, alright, I'm gonna turn and burn this, and in just a couple days, we've seen a huge tank down. Huge. Now, again, players, I think, overall, the perfect storm here is, found the set underwhelming, in terms of the current competitive aspects. Boral Sword is about it currently, along with Danger maybe creeping into Rogue status with their first release. Then, you also have the shorter prints that make it not necessarily worth the product opening, yet these shorter prints are still falling like madmen. Then, you also just have a lot of players taking time off right now from the game, and the competitive / new set market is just falling. So my suggestions right now, watch for Jackalope to bottom out, definitely, because it's about as hard to get as the average secret if the Europrint pulls are right. Watch Chupacabra as well, as both of these fall and even out. I would definitely trade for playset after playset in case Danger is good. Now, again, they might have put their best foot forward with the archetype on release to see where it would go, but currently, I still think it's stuck in Rogue status, despite the amazing combos you can get off with Grepher. Again, it's that feeling of, well, that's if you don't get hand-trapped, buddy. And Magnite of Morningstar, amazing value here. There's just so many cards to actually pick off and chill on, because we won't see these reprints for about a year until the next year's Megatons. Now, I actually did want to go over the best-selling cards of the set, which are somewhat quickly rising right here. Witch's Apprentice keeps selling out, so to speak. Like, I actually probably need to reload that tab, because I think the cheapest one available changed there. So if we look at best selling, no, it's still there, $1, but we see these selling quickly. Only 31 prices for a brand new super versus 47 prices for our hip Hoshinjin. And then the they were called the Devi Rituals. I need to pronounce this name, don't I? Incantations. The Incantations are selling very fast as well, and around dollars. People are very excited for this. These are it reminds me of the Predaplants, right? It's almost like Predaplants for rituals. They're selling very well. And then the Crusadias, aka the Palladians, are selling very, very well also. And then, of course, Hayate! All the Sky Striker players are going to need one of her. So, those seem to be selling the best. And whenever you have a top-heavy set like this is something I really like about it. You're going to see a lot, and I mean a lot, of the top cards make it so that the bottom cards can be so cheap. If we go back to high to low here, these cards allow the rest of the set to be so cheap, and we're going to see a little bit of switcheroos here on prices. We're going to see prices even out, and then some go up over time, especially as we enter the competitive season, especially as we get new dangers. We're going to see prices change up, and I think Cybernetic Horizon really does remind me of Code of the Duelist. Really underwhelming on release, but it's the slow ball special that's going to speed up as we get more sets and see our future cards. That's my opinion on it. Something else I wanted to mention, just as we're in the off-season. Remember Engage? Just entering the off-season went from 100 to 70, a 30% fall-off. And I didn't really consider that with this set, entering and that's why. Like, versus any other sneak peek, any other original prices, sneak peek prices that were holding the line, we actually just saw a really slow fall-off during the past few sets. But this one tanked like no other that we've seen in some time. Like, that's pretty darn crazy to me. So how I feel about that, I should have seen it coming, I feel like, and a lot of you guys did see it coming, but I was like, nah, that hasn't happened in a while. A set hasn't just fallen off. Like, well, here we are, and here we go. That's just how it is. But again, I should have considered the off-season colliding with this set being underwhelming to you guys. A final card to note that's really funny from the stream: this is really good against Danger. If you don't open Hornet or Engage, you're kind of SOL. Grepher's not big enough to do anything to this man's, and all of the Dangers are just going to sit there, and your end game is almost to go ahead and either hope you had enough spells to make Hayate big, or you're going to Tribute Summon Token and Hayate for like a Bigfoot as your only Danger monster that can actually beat over this. I didn't see that one coming. I was thinking like, okay, some rank 4 deck's gonna be making Abyss Dweller, like you're gonna have other ways to counter danger. This shut me down real back. So maybe True Draco Stun, if you actually see dangers take off and eclipse the format because the next set's so good, you might see a lot of this, and you might see a lot of True Draco. So something else to consider picking up, but we're headed towards the Megatons as well. This is a candidate, so keep that in mind, but it's relatively cheap, and if it misses, I would definitely pick yours up as fast as possible if it misses the Megatons. I can see this as like a gold series stuffer. I don't necessarily see this in an OTS pack since it started out secret rare. That typically doesn't happen. But what do you guys think of the craziness that is the set release of Cybernetic Horizon, the tanking? I know a lot of you guys are going to be in the comment section. Told you so, John. It was all going downhill. Well, I did say that danger would swoop down somewhere before the next set. I didn't expect it to be this fast, though. Did you? Did you really expect it to start running like Sonic the Hedgehog? I personally didn't. But Boros Sword is probably the biggest surprise. I saw a lot of people saying it would rest at 60, and we are seeing it dip far below that already. I think it's just the sign of us being in the off-season combined with the set release being very underwhelming for a lot of people. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and give it a thumbs up. And join the conversation down below.